See, we're a little bit late. The weather, the rains, and at least in my traffic, there was also some big personality was coming, so the police had everything blocked for a few minutes. Otherwise, to participate. Maybe we can just take a few extra minutes to do it. I'll do it in English, but I'm assuming all of you know some Hindi. What I do is, for emphasis, when I speak in Hindi, then I'll use some English to get your attention. So when I speak in English, sometimes I use a little bit of Hindi to just liven up things. Take it. The other thing is, we have a little bit lack of time, but I do encourage raising your hands. If you have a question or query, I'll acknowledge you, and then at the right time I will take your question, maybe answer later or at the same time. Okay, so feel free to give me some body language indication you're understanding. Shake your heads. If you don't like something, you can also do this. I don't get hurt. It's too heavy for my neck. So let's start chapter 1. Okay. Many people, they say that Gita doesn't start till chapter 2. Okay, you know why? They say, but Krishna doesn't speak till chapter 2. Sort of correct, but it's not correct. Okay? And they say the real message of Gita, again doesn't start from chapter 2. But chapter 1 lays the foundation of the whole Gita. One thing you will find in almost all the Vedic literatures, it always starts with what? An inquiry, a question. And even here, just the first verse, shloka, Dhritarashtra, he's not even asking a complicated question. He's saying, what did they do? That's all he asks. And so I think it's nice to have Vishkumar Prabhu here. He's my right hand, my one, So maybe he can just give that partial slope while I search for it. What does he say? Prabhu?
Sri Dhritarashtra, there's no Sri, but it's actually Sri. Dhritarashtra vacha.
Yeah.
Dharma kshetre kurukshetre.
Kshetre kurukshetre.
Samaveta yuyutsavaha.
Samveta yuyutsavaha.
Mamaka pandavaschaiva.
Mamaka pandavaschaiva.
Akurvata Sanjaya.
Kim Akurvata Sanjaya. Kim, what did they do, right? Kim still is used in Gujaratis, right? They use that. Kim Chok.
That's Kim.
Yeah. So most of our languages really start from Sanskrit. So that's so it's a very simple question. Two parties standing in the battlefield, and then Dhritarashtra, because of blindness, he's sitting in his room office, you can say. He has a very unique, elevated personality, Sanjaya, who has the powers given by his guru that he can see beyond the walls. We all know that story. So, but this question starts, and then what the first chapter does is, like I said before, is lays down the foundation, the scene. One thing why is this? Many young people, I think all of you are young compared to me, have this doubt that Gita is not relevant. It was spoken for a different era. I assume many of you agree. I mean, there's nothing wrong if you say, yeah, I also felt the same way. Huh? You do? Okay. But if he had more time, prove it to you, but just reading this and talking about it, that if there's one chapter which is most relevant for this time, it is chapter 1. This chapter 1, Arjuna is describing what happens to a society if there's a war. And he lays out all the arguments for fighting, for not fighting. Okay? There's so many peace movements, and they give all sorts of reasons why not to have war. If you ever want to impress others, you can take this chapter and say why there should not be a war. What's happening in Ukraine, Russia, even in India with China and Pakistan, I mean, those are eternal things almost. The chapter 1 lays out the social, gives out the social scene of the society, and if it happened then, and we'll go very quickly, it is happening even more now. The degradation of the society, the breakdown of the family, the breakdown of our traditions. It's all relevant. It's all relevant. So you'll see there are several ways to take a look at it. And then actually this is, Prabhupada has titled this chapter, Observing the Armies of the Battle of Kurukshetra. But many acharyas have named this chapter as Arjun Vishad Yoga, right? Does anyone take 30 seconds why that name? Have you ever thought of that? Yoga means to connect. So many times, in fact most of the times, initially people connect to God, they go to the temple because they're sad, they're sorrow, they're depressed, and they need help. And so Krishna is the ultimate. Nowadays they go to a psychologist or psychiatrist. So Vishad means depression, if I'm not wrong. So by the time this chapter is finished, Arjuna has a depression, he has a mental breakdown. 40% of the world population, it also includes India, has some sort of mental problem, some sort of depression. And you know what the biggest problem is mentally? Despite WhatsApp, despite Facebook, despite Instagram, despite TikTok, whatever it is. What is the problem with all the people? We are very lonely. We are very lonely. Machines don't talk to you. Those likes have no meaning. 100,000 likes. Okay? So here he has tendency to speak, and I get into all those things, but they are relevant. So Dhritarashtra is asking, what did, and there's a lot of detail right in this purport that Prabhupada gives. One thing that maybe Prabhuji, I'm sure, would have emphasized, it is very important as you go through this book. Okay, we want to know what Krishna said, the translation, but it is equally important, in fact more important, to read and understand Srila Prabhupada's purpose. Because this conversation is going on between two highly intelligent personalities. Even if you don't believe that Krishna is God and Arjuna said, they're highly intelligent. You see that? And when highly intelligent people talk, you know how they talk? In half sentences. I think most of you have heard of MIT, right? Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Almost anyone who wants to become an engineer or something like that want to go to MIT. So I had a friend who went through, I said, what is it like being MIT? All the professors, almost all of them are Nobel Prize winners. They're experts in their fields. And so I said, it must be very nice you're getting all this knowledge. He said, no problem. I would much rather have an ordinary teacher. They get together in a hallway, right? And they just can nod like this and they just mumble some sort of sutra, some equation. And then you don't know what's going on. But they expect you to know. Oh, don't you know this? You're in MIT. Well, if I knew this, why would I be coming here? So that happens all the time. So Arjuna, very intelligent. If you take a look at the history of Arjuna himself, and Krishna, of course, Supreme Personality of Godhead. And I mean, the whole Gita conversation, how long it took? I was going to ask them to take a guess. 45 minutes? Maybe 50. And how much time we spend understanding Gita? Even the people who know Gita, they spend a whole lifetime. This is just a very basic conversation, 45 minutes. If you print it in 10 size font or 11 size font, both sides, the entire Gita, just the shlokas, will fit in about 2 or 3 pages. But it has all the knowledge. It's called a life manual. If you want to know physics, chemistry, spirituality, psychiatry, psychology, sab kuch hai, everything is there. But in a very, very condensed form. And therefore Prabhupada's purpose, they sort of unpack it. Is anyone a physicist here? Physics? Is somebody taking physics? No? No one? Please feel free. I mean, किसने physics नहीं लिया? You read physics, right? You know what is physics based on? Not the modern physics. What is it based on? And thousands of books have been written. What is it based on? Just one equation. You know what that is? Theory of relativity, Einstein. What is that equation? E is equal to mc. Thank you. See, now you're starting to warm up. E is equal to mc squared.
It's the weather, I guess. It's the weather, I guess.
E is equal to mc squared. Just that one equation has spawned all the physics. Before that was Newton's 3 laws. There was classical physics. Okay? So same thing here, and then so they all these physicists, they unpack what Einstein meant based on the situation with this and so on. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada unpacks the Gita for us. So please do not sort of, ignore is not the right word, but do not take the purpose lightly. Read them very, very carefully, and many people and I'm telling you because this is all the basic course. The basic thing, I mean, some of the kind of things that I've used, I tell people to have Gita, and I said, take 2 copies. Because most people, what they do, they take 1 copy, is so holy, so religious, they'll put it like this on their altar, on the bookshelf. This is a life manual. So I said, yeah, good, you should do that, you should worship it. But also take one, the one that you bring over here, okay, in the class, bring it with a highlighter, magic marker, and mark it. Okay? That is also worshipping Gita. You're trying to understand. Okay? So please do this. One thing that Prabhupada says, I believe it was in the introduction, Prabhuji probably covered it, but it also comes out here.
while we read the Gita, we have to, at least for that particular time span, see, with every study, physics, chemistry, whatever it is, there's always a hypothesis. आप समझते हैं? You understand hypothesis? A basic truth, an axiom. You have to say, okay, regardless if I understand or don't, but if, for example, in physics, you just have to say E is equal to mc square is the mantra, is the sutra. Similarly, what Prabhupada says, to understand the Gita, for that particular time frame, we have to, regardless of our own personal beliefs, we have to understand, we have to assume is the very light word, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Krishna as God is speaking Himself. It's not that somebody just made up this allegory, some model, Krishna Himself. And not just Krishna, but it says, Deviki, many people have their name as Krishna. Deviki Putra. And He is speaking. And if we have that faith, we believe that, then it will be very easy to understand Gita. Okay? So it starts with the question, what did they do? And the first thing that Gita in this chapter 1 it does, it took me a little bit of time to understand. If you do the first should be on the off, maybe not. Here. So I forgot about that. Okay. Sorry. What was I saying? Sorry. क्या बात कर रहा था? The first 20 or so shlokas, they are, after the first 2-3 are important in their parts, but there are a whole bunch of list of names. Kechitan and Arjuna, Yudhishthir, Kashiraj and Bhishma and Dronacharya. It's like a long list of names. And I used to wonder why they didn't. So it's 700 verses in the Gita. There's something you can impress people, GQ. 700 verses. And Arjuna speaks what, 84? 84, right? And Krishna speaks 574. Dhatrashtra is 1. And Sanjay, I think, is 21? 41. So in just, I've taken management, okay? Just again. And when I took the management course, the professor of management came, he said, who's a good manager? Who's a good manager? What are the answers? Speak up. Jaldi. Hanji?
Leadership qualities. Someone with good leadership qualities.
Good leadership qualities, but that's a leader. Okay, but that's okay. Hanji?
Situations.
Acha, or?
One who can management tactfully.
Okay. Anything else?
How to get the work done.
How to get the work done, that's very good. But, so what does he have to do?
Speak self-sufficiency.
And I was very surprised with the answer. He said, we expect managers to get answers. He said, a good manager is the one. He has all the help, 30, 40, 20 people under him. A good manager is the one who knows what question to ask. Then he has all these people to answer that question for him, do the research. A good manager is not the one who has all the answers himself. It's the one who asks the right question at the right time. So this question again is, Dhritarashtra asking that unfolds everything, and why it came. But this is a Gita in the first is a list of all these names. So, and then somebody said this. We were discussing this. He said, to make sure that this is not considered just a storybook, एक था राजा एक थी रानी दोनों मर गए खत्म हुई कहानी. It is to make us believe that by these names that there were actual people at that time with those names, and they had family relationships. If you read the Mahabharata, this is a condensed version, everything is explained. So one thing that for this class, for this course, for this Gita, we're establishing it that you got to assume, you got to believe, have faith, Krishna is God. And the second thing, that this is not mythology. It is actually, there were two families, it actually happened. These are the names of the the personalities, and therefore Srila Vyasadeva is taking the time to list all those names to make us believe that it is not that this is not fiction. You understand? So that's what happens. Then, and there's so many things, and then, so Arjuna is asking Krishna, he was all agreed to fight. Duryodhana was always ready. Okay? But Arjuna, he got convinced. He said, I will fight. And then he goes into the battlefield and he asks Krishna to please take the chariot in the middle of the armies. Before, it is also called a dharma yuddha. It means it was based on very strict religious principles. There was no such thing as terrorist. Actually, there was one terrorist in the whole thing, there may be a couple more. We won't talk to him about it, but it was based on principles. They would fight from sunrise to sunset. After that, they would all be friends. And you know all the stories in Bhagavad. So this was a dharma yuddha. And Arjuna goes into the middle of the battlefield. It was very common practice to see what does the opposition look like. He has some doubts also, but I'm saying from an outsider perspective, he wanted to, observing the armies. Duryodhana does that, but, excuse me. But Duryodhana was always bent on war. He had bad mentality, and the more he looked at the armies, you'll see that the more his hate comes out, and he's just ready to fight. Arjuna, on the other hand, being of saintly character, he observes the armies, and then what happens? Anyone know? What does he see? He's a family man, and he has those attachments that we all do. Not him, he's in the separate. Okay? But we do. And so those attachments are coming into play. Attachments are coming into play, and the attachments are this. It's not wrong to have attachment as long as it's the right attachment, but he being a Kshatriya, he being a warrior, he should be committed to do what a warrior needs to do to protect. It's like a policeman outside. And at least in the USA, it has happened. The policeman in the line of his duty has shot his own family or arrested them. Here it doesn't happen because the attachment is at the wrong place. So Arjuna, like a common person, he sees his grandfather Bhishma, his guru Dronacharya, and other relatives. He says, I cannot do this. So he's wavering, and he says, at the very end, he says, Krishna, I will not fight. And we can jump forward, I think. Prabhuji, what was the last shloka where it says, I'm dried up? What is it? Huh? Which one is it? Give me the number. Okay. Okay. All right. It is. Okay, say the shloka. Am I missing something or what? Yeah. So, so he says that, that my tongue is drying up. I'm shaking. He has all the symptoms. Somebody who is depressed, who is hyperventilating. And one thing that he does at the very end, that Sanjay tells us, that Arjun, having thus spoken on the battlefield, sets aside his bow and arrow and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. It's a long story, but Arjuna, one of the things was he never put his bow down. Okay? And he does that. He gets into it. And then in doing that, first he gives reasons why he doesn't want to fight. One is, he says it is totally unacceptable. And this is common dharma. To kill my grandfather, to kill my guru, and even my cousin, brothers, so on and so forth. So that's one reason he says. Another reason he says is that when there's a war, what happens? He says, all the men will be killed. Okay, again a trivia, spiritual trivia. How many soldiers were fighting in that war on both the sides? Any idea? It's called Mahabharata.
I don't know, but there was more at the Pandava side.
Yeah.
At Pandava side it was less.
Yes.
Around 50 lakhs.
Around 11, 11 Akshoni on the
But it is said that it was 640 million, 64 crore. Total. And you know how many survived? The 5 Pandavas and Ashwatthama and a few more. Satyaki. So 7, right? Something like that?
Ashwatthama was cursed by Krishna.
That is afterwards, yes. That is afterwards.
So he survived or not?
Yes, he did. He's still around. He's circling. So, what I'm saying is, 639 million, whatever it comes out to be, very talented members of the society. They were not just riffraffs, like we find in Russia, that Prigozhin has taken all the ex-convicts to put them in war. And these were all men. You know what the impact of society is? All of society does not have these qualified men. And Arjuna says, children will be unattended, Women will be exploited. There will be no one be there to care the old people. Why is it so important to care for the old people? They're gone. बैठ बैठ खाना खाते हैं, nothing. Why? And this is happening in the Western society, all the nursing homes. In fact, many people were secretly very happy when all the the COVID really struck the old people. But they're gone. All the expenses the government was doing, we're saving money. Why do we want to save the brothers? Old is not the right word. Senior. Why? Anyone?
Because of their experience.
Their wisdom. See, we're all in this knowledge industry, IT knowledge, data. Data doesn't do anything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have the data, right? So, and we can also get knowledge, but vivek, wisdom, that's combined with anubhav, experience. So he's saying, if the seniors are not there, who will keep the traditions? Who will teach the sanskaras? Do you understand sanskar? How many sanskars we have in our life? Huh?
In total, there is 16.
16? Or is it 13 or 12? Something like that. Huh? Half the people don't even know that. And so who will do that? They bring piety, they bring experience, they bring knowledge into the society. Who will train the grandkids? See, parents are busy working, especially now. I mean, it used to be mothers didn't used to work. They don't have time. The seniors are gone, so that is very bad. Then children will become unwanted. There are a couple of reasons why they become unwanted. It says, Varn Sankara, that's the word that comes again and again. When you read that, Prabhupada gives a definition, we don't have time for all that stuff. That's what's happening. Varn Sankara, generally it means that you have sort of intercaste marriage. Maybe a Hindu marries a Christian or a Brahmin marries a Shudra and all that stuff. But there's the other meaning of it, unwanted children. And we call, what do we call? Child is the of man. What's the word?
Child is the father of the
Child is the future of man. Yeah. Have you heard that, right there? Have you ever pondered on it? How many of us are raising our children like that? And it says the society that does not protect, respect its seniors, the women and children will not survive. And that is one of the things that Prabhupada says again and again in his writings. That is at that time Arjuna was saying, in some ways he was theorizing because the war had not just started, but he said, look at now what's happening. Look what is happening. The grandfathers and grandmothers have been put aside. They don't go into nursing homes, but they're watching TV. The children are going to babysitters. The women are going outside and they're being exploited. It is not a question of, we had the highest respect in Vedic culture for the women. There was no such thing as what is exploitation of women. And the thing that we respect the most, we protect them. So the word is protection, not exploitation. And that's what's happening right now. Think about that. And that's what Arjuna is saying. And then when that happens, so these children are unwanted, nobody wants them. What do the children need most? Mata, but what do they need in terms of qualities or emotions? Money? Love.
Affection, guidance.
I know. Is there that today? No, right? So what do they feel like? Unwanted. It was never heard of that a child 10, 12 years old shooting his parents, and now they even go up to grandparents in Portland, Oregon, state next to US. I was shocked. A 12-year-old, a 13-year-old teenager took a gun, and of all the people, he shot his grandparents. And I think it was because both the parents were gone. They were working warriors. He was upset. He had to do something. Never got love in his life, and he put it on his grandparents. So Arjuna is saying that. And when they're unwanted children, women are exploited, then what he say? He actually uses the word. The society goes to Hell. Can you say that sloka? Narkaya? No. He says that here. Is there. He actually uses those words. Society goes to hell. It's I think 43, 46, something. No, 40 something. 38? Okay. So, do you think Gurugram, the name is very nice from Gurugram, is Gurugram? Are you living in heaven or hell? I'm being very frank.
Sankaro narakaya eva kulatnanam kulasya patanti kutaro pyesham lupta pindodakakriya. This is verse number 41.
41. I read that. That's 4 or 5 verses. Prabhuji knows those are my favorite verses. I don't know too much about Gita, because that deflects the society. And when people say Gita has no relevance, that is so wrong. I mean, I was in Greater Noida this morning, right? And there, I don't know if you have noticed anything. I do notice, because I'm in marketing, so I notice all these ads. I'm not supposed to. And one of the ads, somebody was a very clever ad. Yeah, this Noida, right? So this company is M3M. They also have it in Gurugram and everything. They have ads. They're changing it. But based on the Noida, there's this big ad right on the highway. No idea. He took it from Noida, no idea. Yeah? We have no idea. And then he gives a whole bunch of statistics, 1.5 million people like this and that. We have no idea what's going on. The pollution, the noise, the hatred, children doing their own thing, all the drinking. So the society, quote unquote, Prabhupada writes someplace, I saw that. We call civilization when we are able to drink. That's civilization, no? Actually, Shastra says, and I've actually seen that. Bhagavatam says that if you drink alcohol in a cup, you should throw that cup away, because you cannot purify that cup. Even if you put it in the fire or you put it you put Ganga Jal in it. We don't realize that the havoc that this alcohol has caused everywhere. Let's call it social drink, right? Social drinking. There's no such thing as social drinking. Drinking is drinking. So I think the time is up. We've got 5 more minutes. I'm going to stop here, read it, and he gives other reasons also, the total of 6 reasons. One reason he gives is very nice. You will all relate to it. I think all of you have bought a new car or at least a car, right? You all have done that, right? Or most of you? Car or scooter or one of these, what you call super bikes. After you buy it, what do you do? What is the next thing you do? Besides driving, what do you do? Anyone?
Usually people take their vehicles to the temple.
Okay. For what?
It's more like getting the blessing from the God or purification of the vehicle that you're going to use.
But the sign says people ask for it. I get phone calls even in US all the time. प्रभु जी आप कार पूजा कर दोगे क्या? मैंने कहा हम कार की पूजा नहीं करते. आपने कहा we'll purify it. And then when I go there and I see them having leather seats, I said I cannot do anything. Till you tear the, should have got clothes. Cotton seats. You cannot purify leather. So we don't know what we are doing. Car is not worship. Car has to be purified, blessed. But anyway, what was the thing I was saying? I got into that. So what do you do besides that car puja? What is the next thing? Even before that, what do you do?
Read instructions.
And जी?
Read instructions.
हाँ वो तो है. Or in terms of emotions, in terms of, you know what you do? There must be someone who said, you call upon your cell phone. Mummy, Papa, I bought this car. आपको आना है, अभी आ रहा हूँ मैं, ड्राइव पर चलेंगे, हैं? ठीक है? और your friend. Now what if he doesn't take any interest or says, no? What happens to you? Half the joy or fun is gone. So Arjuna is saying that if I get this kingdom, who am I going to show off? Who am I going to enjoy with? Very, he knows the psychology, very human reason. है ना? Who is going to call? हाँ मैं सारे संसार का राजा बन गया. कोई है ही नहीं. 640 million people are dead. The rest are all crying. Well, what kind of enjoyment good is that? So there is another reason he gives. ठीक है? We'll stop here. प्रभु जी सिग्नल दे रहे हैं मुझे कि अब मैं यहाँ समाप्त करूँ. और कोई प्रश्न है? Are you able to get the feeling what I'm trying to convey? Will you read the Gita sincerely, Prabhuji? Read the purpose? Yes. Yes, sure.
Nowadays, since we are the generation who get old, so like you said that we used to save people who hold more wisdom, who are seniors. But now, the society that we are living in, I do not feel so. That people, even though they are in their older age or more experienced, they have that kind of wisdom to provide their young generations.
So if I understand correctly, you're saying is now you have the feeling that the older people do not have.
Yeah, I'm not. I said I completely understand that it's other and respect for
Yeah.
the people.
Yeah.
But nowadays, the kind of peace or the wisdom that they can provide, the older people, because they have the experience, we don't get this from the society.
Now, you're saying you do not get from them. I will debate, I don't know if you have heard that bhajan, हमारे घर नहीं, लोग कहते हैं कृष्णा घर आते हैं, है ना, हमारे घर क्यों नहीं आते? तो वो फिर क्या जवाब देता है? हमें बुलाना नहीं आता. थैंक यू, मैं यही चाह रहा था. कभी मुझे आता नहीं, कभी मैं जानबूझ के गलती बोलता हूँ, मैं देखूँ कि कोई है समझता है. नो, दे हैव इट. ये just one thing before I lose my thought, बुढ़ापे में जो है भूल जाता है. Gita tells you how to get knowledge, not through Google. Chapter 4, text 34, Prabhuji will cover it. There's a method. It says, whoever you want to get knowledge from, you go to him humbly, you serve him. And then you humbly inquire, and then when they are pleased with your service and your attitude, they will do that. So, I have 3 grandsons and 1 granddaughter. The 2 are who are the older one. They are just the right age, and we have very good communication, especially the older one. At night time, sometimes he'll have bed next to me, and he said, बाबा आप बताएंगे जब आप बच्चे थे आप कैसे रहते थे? And everything poured out. Because we've been taught कि वो सब कुछ नहीं है उनके पास. This modern knowledge is, you say AI, right? What does it stand for AI? What is artificial intelligence, right?
All the intelligent people got the artificial part right.
Artificial is saying itself. We also have AI. And you know what that is? Ancient intelligence. जितना ज्ञान इसमें है ना, अभी क्लास में जो आज नहीं किया ना, I have spent books are the basis. The knowledge that Gita has can surpass all the chat GPT and everything else. And so, the older generation, I believe, and this is probably the last one, you're right. And so I'm willing, and I have at least one of my grandsons, and the other one is smaller, who wants to. So the speaker has to be qualified and the listener has to be qualified. They both have to have that connection. The listener should be, that's how Bhagavatam starts. The listener has to be curious. He knows that they have it and they ask, there's a way to ask. And the speaker is willing. So both things have to connect. So I hate to say, but I don't quite agree with you. Okay? Yes?
How can we stop our friends from drinking alcohol, smoking? Like, we have to be in a company, in office, like we have to be with people who smoke and like
Okay.
who take alcohol.
Yeah.
So how can we stop them?
By your own example, by your own determination, eventually it will rub off. Satsang. They are trying to provide you kutsang, bad company. And we are trying to provide them satsang. And it says that, you know kamal ka full lotus? Where does it grow? Kichad mein, exactly. It grows much better in dirty water. And in all our Eastern philosophies, China and everything included, especially India, we use this model of lotus, and I used to wonder why. The material world, sansar, will always be dirty. So we have to be like a lotus. We live in it, but we're not part of it. Okay? So we give association, we don't take from them. Okay? And people are testing us. ये नहीं मैं लेता नहीं, मैं चल आज तू ये इतना कह रहा चलो एक पैक पी लेता हूँ. I have a very nice story about myself and another devotee in NCR. Very good examples. We don't have time. या तो ये कि officially we finish it, and then if some of you want to stay over, we can do a little bit more talk. But I think we should stop here because one thing in classes is if you go too much, then everyone gets discouraged. You have allotted a certain time, and we want to honor that. There's a lot more to say, but maybe Prabhuji next time can cover it a little bit more if you have it, but this is, okay? Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Ancient intelligence key.
Yeah.
So that was ancient intelligence. Speaking about even more ancient intelligence. So this chapter, like Prabhuji said, is expected to be and assumed to be normally an introductory chapter, but it is not. It sets the stage so much for the rest of the Gita. It also explains how the mood behind Arjuna's depression, anxiety, etc., how it transpired, the context for that, how Duryodhana was a great politician, how the signs of victory for the Pandavas are set forth appropriately, how Arjuna presented several excuses as to why he would not be able to fight. And we all have our own battles, we all have our little battles. But please do not think, like Prabhuji said, that this is not an allegory. Kurukshetra is a place, Arjuna and Krishna are personalities, this is not mythology. And therefore, if we have this understanding that Krishna is God, then only does the Gita assume meaning. So next week, we will have Yatra for Jaipur. So it's devotees will be all traveling for that. So we will not be having these classes here, right? So we will not be having these classes. However, what we want to request you is if you could all please get yourself registered